Hello, I'm Dr. Mikey Newborn, and this is Leadership Development. Today we're looking at the topic, Create a Climate of Trust. Now, whether we're talking about a marriage, we're talking about a partnership, a business, or even a church, trust is such a huge aspect to what we do. We need to be able to trust people that are in our lives, that are working with us, that we're trying to accomplish things together. We need to be able to trust them. You can see this very clearly in the world of athletics, also in the world of the military, or maybe even in the arts and performances. If a person forgets their lines when acting in a play, it's going to cause all kinds of problems for those who are involved in that play. And so it's important for us all that we need to be able to trust one another. We're going to look at that today in the whole realm of leadership development. It's good to be with you. Let's begin our study. Hello and welcome to Leadership Development. Today we're looking at the topic, Create a Climate of Trust. It's good to be with you today. Let's begin our study. I want to start with this great cartoon. It says, I can't take all the credit for this great quarter, but I will anyway. I think we've all felt that way sitting in a meeting sometimes, looking at somebody who's leading it and possibly leading the team, and they just seem to take all the credit. Maybe you've done a project in school with a group of people, and one person just wanted to take all the credit, and so they did. And even though everybody else was doing a lot of work. So it's interesting when you look at this because we've all felt this. It's important for us not to be this way. When we think of a team, we cannot go and put ourselves on a pedestal and say, look what I've accomplished. But we should say, no, look what we're accomplishing together. It's very important in the whole realm of teamwork and creating a climate of trust. Now, as we get into it, I first want to say, be trustworthy. Admit when you're wrong. Make sure that people know that you're sorry for something that has happened or that you did, and admit when you've misstepped or you've made a mistake. Make sure that people know that. Also, acknowledge the need for personal improvement. Let others know that you're on this journey of growth as well, this leadership development journey, and you're trying to improve just as they are. Ask for feedback, positive and negative. This is very hard to do. Because when we are trying to accomplish a task or we're trying to fulfill our role, making sure that we're filling our duties, we want positive feedback. We definitely do. And so it's hard when we ask somebody to give us feedback because it makes us very vulnerable, especially when they have the opportunity to give you negative feedback. So this is an important thing to do. It may seem a little uneasy to ask that question, but I think it's very important. Then also listen attentively to what others are saying. So listen to what they're saying. That's important. We don't just say, yeah, great, that's wonderful, thanks for the feedback, and then just go on about our lives. And you say you gave them a voice. But if you don't really listen to them and take heed of what they say, it's not going to help you in the long run. So listen attentively to what others are saying. Share information that's useful to others. So make sure that you're talking to other people in a way that they're receiving it in a positive way, and then share information with them that's useful to them, and it'll be helpful to them. It might help them in a project that they're working on or a ministry that they're involved in. So make sure that you do that. Also, openly acknowledge the contributions of others. So acknowledge people for what they're doing. Celebrate them for what they've done. Show that you're willing to change your mind when someone else comes up with a good idea. This is important, that people know that it's not your way or the highway, but instead you're willing to change your mind when someone comes up with a great idea. Now, what I would say here, and try to be very clear about this, make sure that you recognize the people who are giving those ideas, but at the same time, when you make changes in a company or corporation, make sure it's not based on the highest position. It's not based on the fact that it's coming from a person that's so influential, but instead make sure it's the best idea. It's a good idea. It works for the program. Avoid talking negatively about others. This should never be a part of the Christian life anyways. We shouldn't be going around speaking negatively about people. There are times when you need to tell them what they're doing or how they're performing, and maybe there's an evaluation process there. But we don't need to go around negatively talking about others. That becomes gossip very quickly, and sometimes it can become slander, which is very wrong in the realm of leadership and, of course, working with other people. So you want to try to help people as much as you can, and so don't go behind their back. Don't speak negatively about them. Say we can trust them and mean it. So this is the idea that Kouzes and Posner is saying, that we need to be able to say these words and mean it. We can trust them. They'll take care of it. They'll do it. We can hand this project over to them. They'll make it happen. And so it's so important when we think about the whole idea of teaching others in an organization to be trustworthy, and also that they can trust other people, because so much of what we do in this life is built on trust. If you think about it, an employee trusts their employer to do what they're supposed to be doing. The same way the employer trusts the employee. It works in a very similar way in our churches. The pastor brings a certain message and calls on people to act in a certain way. There's a trust factor related in that. He believes that what he's asking for will be taken care of. For instance, let's say the pastor goes to the deacons about an issue in the church. Maybe there's a family that's really struggling and they need some help. Well, he is relying on those deacons to help in that situation. But if they don't, or if they drop the ball, it'll cause a lot of problems for the church, and possibly that family might leave the church and they may never go to another church. And so we have to be very careful about the way that we treat things and making sure that we're trustworthy and creating an environment of trust. One of the great ways of teaching trust is by looking at what happens in a place like SeaWorld. I think when you look at animal trainers or people that work with animals, you can even think of a cowboy and his horse or her horse, or you think of the trust with animals. It's so amazing. And it's the idea that they spend a lot of time with those animals. Now, let's just give some thoughts about the orcas. Orcas, or killer whales, are the largest of the dolphins and one of the world's most powerful predators. All pods use effective cooperative hunting techniques that some liken to the behavior of wolf packs. They can have a group of 40 killer whales or orcas that would come together to go hunt down their prey. And they would go, and this is how they'll eat. It's amazing that they are so fierce and they're so strong, they're so big and agile that a trainer, a human being, can work with them and create a relationship of trust. Trainers must spend countless hours with orcas in order to gain their trust, and vice versa. As a result, the beautiful yet fierce animals can really put on a show. I don't know if you've ever been to SeaWorld or seen something like that on TV, where a trainer is working with an animal and getting so close that they can hug them, just like this lady's doing in this picture. It's fascinating to see that they can even get in the water with them at times and do different things like that. Now, for us to see that and say, that's incredible that they can do that, well, there's a lot of time that went into that. The pool that these animals are living in, this aquarium type setup that they're living in, it has to be an environment that is very consistent. And the meals have to come at certain times. The trainers must come at certain times. There must be this constant understanding between trainer and orca in order for them to have this. And you see this with other animals like seals or sea lions. You see it with dolphins, and you see how they do that at SeaWorld. So it's a very special thing to watch and to be a part of. Now, ask questions and be willing to take advice. So let's look at this for just a moment. Ask for the advice of others. Now, we talked about that briefly earlier on, but I think it's important that we always do ask for advice. Create opportunities for others to speak. So give them an opportunity to speak. Maybe it's one of those times where you call on people. Maybe you reach out to them. What do you think about this? I'd like to hear what your thoughts are on this, and give them an opportunity to speak. Give evidence that you understand their comments. So let them know. Maybe reassure them or confirm to them that you heard them, what they were saying, and maybe even ask them some questions about what they said so that you can confirm it. Tell them how you will use their insights and advice. So if you are going to use those insights or that advice that you receive from them, tell them how you're going to do that. That will mean the world to someone who is a part of your organization. If you'll let them know of how you're going to use it, that'll mean the world to them. Give them credit for their insights. Recognize them for the ideas that they had, that they brought to the organization or to your team. Let other people know about that. Celebrate them. Say, this person has brought this to our attention. I think it's a great idea. Let's try it. Let's go for it. And I think that's going to go very well with any corporation. Use we as much as possible. I love this section because we do need to stay away from the letter I, talking about we or I have accomplished this, I have accomplished that, and then we need to focus more on we are doing things. It puts the team first. So important for us there, putting the team first. And then number 2, it celebrates the efforts of others. When you say we, it's putting us in that barrel of rewards and accolades and the things that people really hunger for. Number 3, it promotes selflessness. So when we say we, it's not going to be focused on one person. It's not going to be focused on you. Then number 4, it increases morale. So when you say that you're in this together with other people, it boosts confidence that you're not in this alone, but you have other people working with you. I like this acronym. It's the acronym for TRUST. I think it's a great way to look at the idea of trustworthy people, trust in leadership, and what that's about. The T is be transparent. The R is respect everyone. U, unite your team. S, show you care. T, trust building activities. And so Betsy Allen Manning here is saying these are important things that you can do to build trust. So make sure that you're open and transparent. Show respect to all people. Do everything that you can to keep the team together. Show them you care. And then you need to have certain activities where you're building that trust and put those into play. Now, as we look at the next thing, it says create opportunities for informal interactions. I want to give you just 2 different groups here and we'll talk about them. The first one is churches and nonprofit corporations can offer what? Well, they can offer staff retreats or nice dinners with spouses. One of the ways that you build trust is to get out of the everyday, almost the mundane activity that you're having to perform in order to keep the corporation going. So if it's a nonprofit or if it's a church, something like that, then it might be best to get out of the building and to generate some interaction that is going to build trust. Because the more you get to know somebody, the more you're going to care about them. You're going to find out about their kids. You're going to find out about what they're going through. You're going to find out where they live, what do they like to do, what do they like to eat. And those types of conversations will help build trust. In the same way, you can look at businesses. Okay, so for-profit organizations, what could they offer? Office parties. That'd be a great way to build some excitement and more of an informal type setup where people get to know one another. So office parties would be really good for that. And then staff lunches, things like that. Just bringing in a nice lunch, letting people hang out for a while and get to know one another. That's a great way to do it in a business. They too could do retreats. They could also have nice dinners with people. They could do all those types of things. So you could go back and forth with these. But I think for the most part, these are simple, easy things that either churches can do or business can do to just help foster that trust that's really needed. And then I just want to give you the 8 ways leaders can build trust in the workplace. And this is given to us by LinkedIn.com. Let me just run through these 8 things very quickly. Number 1, recognize achievements and hard work. We've talked about that. Number 2, solicit employee feedback on a regular basis. Number 3, offer competitive compensation and benefits. That's really good. Letting people know that they are being rewarded for how they perform, and raises are a great thing. Let them know that they are doing a good job. Number 4, invest in your employees through training and professional development opportunities. Number 5, provide regular exposure to senior leadership. That's a great one. Number 6, offer more flexibility in employees' schedule. This is one that has become more and more popular over the last several years. It used to be just 8 to 5 jobs, but now with the opportunities to work at home, the opportunities to work in a coffee shop, we can be a lot more flexible with hours, and you might get more work out of that. You might get more production and more performance, better performance. So number 6 is a great one. Number 7, acknowledge your employees as complete individuals. And number 8, support employee-led identity and or affinity groups. So supporting people getting together and hanging out and doing things and getting to know one another more. And so this is 8 ways leaders can build trust in the workplace. I've been a part of some organizations that were very good, let's say 6 out of 8 of these, maybe 7 out of 8 of these. And it was such a great experience. I got to know people. I was recognized for what I did. I saw raises over time. I saw pay increases, those types of things, received bonuses. When this is happening, there's a mutual trust that's taking place between employee and employer that is so meaningful to anyone that is in a job. So this is important for us to think about this, all right? Well, this has been the study, Create a Climate of Trust. So good to be with you. God bless you. Bye-bye. All right, that concludes our study about Create a Climate of Trust. You can probably see now how vital it is that we create an environment of trust, a place that people will see us as trustworthy. That simply means that we always keep our word. We do what we say we're going to do. We're going to make sure that we take other people's advice and we live that out. And so there's a lot of ways that we can create a climate of trust. And I think this video will help you for the years to come. It's good to be with you. God bless you, and bye-bye.